The war in Ukraine has been defined by artillery duels, missile strikes, and drone warfare. But recently, a new development has captured the attention of military analysts worldwide. Ukraine has reportedly fielded a next-generation stealth drone capable of slipping past Russian radar systems and striking targets deep behind enemy lines. For Kyiv, this represents more than just a tactical victory. It is a strategic game-changer in a war where technology has become as important as soldiers on the battlefield. To fully understand the significance of this weapon, we first need to step back and look at the role drones have already played in the Ukraine conflict. From the very beginning, unmanned aerial vehicles, whether small commercial quadcopters or larger military-grade drones, have reshaped the battlefield. Ukrainian forces have used cheap drones to spot Russian troop movements, adjust artillery fire, and even drop small munitions with devastating precision. Russia, too, has relied heavily on Iranian-made Shahed drones to bombard Ukrainian cities, stretching Ukraine's air defenses to their limits. But while drones have been critical on both sides, there has been one consistent problem: vulnerability to detection. Most drones are relatively easy to spot on radar. They may be small, but they still produce a radar signature. And when flying in large swarms, they become even more visible. This has led to increasingly sophisticated electronic warfare by both Russia and Ukraine, jamming signals, scrambling navigation, and deploying countermeasures to disrupt incoming drones. Now, Ukraine's reported deployment of a stealth drone marks a dramatic escalation in this technological arms race. Stealth is not just about flying quietly. It's about reducing the aircraft's radar cross-section to the point where enemy systems simply cannot see it. This involves advanced design, radar-absorbing materials, and careful control of heat signatures. Until now, stealth drones have largely been the domain of advanced militaries like the United States and China. If Ukraine truly has developed one, or has received significant international assistance, it signals a major leap forward in capability. So, what do we know about this drone so far? Official details remain limited, and much of the information comes from leaked reports, satellite imagery, and battlefield footage. What appears clear is that the drone is medium-sized, jet-powered, and shaped with angular, low observable contours. Analysts comparing it to existing systems have noted similarities to American designs like the RQ-170 Sentinel, as well as European experimental platforms. Its wings are sharply swept, its fuselage flattened, and its exhaust carefully shielded to reduce the infrared signature that heat-seeking missiles typically lock onto. Most importantly, Russian radar operators have reportedly struggled to detect these drones until it's too late. In several documented strikes, Ukrainian drones believed to be of this stealth design managed to reach sensitive targets hundreds of kilometers away, including military depots and command centers previously thought to be well protected. For the first time in the conflict, Russia's layered air defense network, considered one of the most advanced in the world, appears to have been outmaneuvered. This raises two crucial questions. How is Ukraine doing it, and what does it mean for the war going forward? To answer the first, we have to consider radar itself. Russia's air defense relies on a wide spectrum of systems, from long-range S-400s to shorter-range Panzer units. These radars are powerful, but they are not perfect. Stealth aircraft exploit weaknesses by reducing their radar cross-section, often by deflecting radar waves in directions other than back toward the receiver. When combined with low-altitude flight paths, electronic warfare support, and careful planning, stealth aircraft can pass through radar coverage like a ghost. Ukraine's drone program appears to have incorporated these principles. While we cannot confirm the exact materials used, reports suggest a combination of composite structures and radar-absorbing coatings. The shape of the drone itself is optimized to minimize reflections, and by flying in unpredictable patterns, possibly alongside decoy drones, Ukraine increases the chances that its stealth systems can bypass detection entirely. But technology alone does not win wars. What truly makes this development significant is its impact on Russia's psychology and strategy. For months, Moscow has relied on the assumption that its dense air defense network could stop most aerial threats. If that confidence is shaken, if commanders can no longer assume that key depots, fuel reserves, or command centers are safe behind the front lines, then Russia will be forced to change how it fights. Supply chains may need to be moved farther from the battlefield. Resources may be drained to strengthen rear defenses. In effect, one drone design could shift the balance of strategic planning. And this leads us to a broader point. The Ukraine war has increasingly become a laboratory for modern warfare. Just as tanks once reshaped combat in World War II, drones are reshaping combat today. And in this laboratory, stealth drones may be the next frontier. A capability once reserved for the most powerful militaries, now appearing in the hands of a nation fighting for its survival. As we move deeper into this story, we'll break down the specifics of how Ukraine's stealth drone operates, what its missions look like, and the vulnerabilities it still faces. Because while stealth offers enormous advantages, no system is invincible. Russia will adapt, countermeasures will emerge, and the race to stay one step ahead will define not only this drone, but the future of aerial warfare itself. To understand the real impact of Ukraine's stealth drone, we need to look at how it's being used in combat. Unlike small commercial quadcopters that hover over trenches or Iranian-made Shaheds that loiter overhead in long, buzzing swarms, this new drone is designed for deep penetration missions. Its role is not merely to harass the enemy. It is to strike high-value targets with precision, while leaving Russian radar operators confused and scrambling. So how does it work? Let's walk through a typical mission profile. The drone is launched from a prepared airstrip or mobile launcher somewhere in Ukrainian-controlled territory. Almost immediately, its radar-absorbing design comes into play. As it climbs to altitude, its angled surfaces scatter incoming radar signals away, rather than bouncing them back to Russian receivers. This means that, from the perspective of Russian radar operators, the drone is either invisible or appears only as a fleeting, ghost-like blip that quickly disappears. Next, the drone begins its journey toward its target. Unlike slow-flying kamikaze drones that can be picked off with machine guns, this stealth drone travels at jet-powered speeds. Reports suggest it can cruise at hundreds of kilometers per hour, giving Russian defenses very little time to react, even if they manage to detect it. Its flight path is carefully programmed, often hugging low altitudes where ground clutter makes radar tracking more difficult. In some cases, Ukrainian operators reportedly use electronic warfare units to generate decoys or jam Russian radar at critical moments, further confusing the defense network. As the drone approaches its target, it has several options depending on the mission. Some variants are believed to carry high explosive payloads designed to destroy fuel depots, ammunition stores, or command centers. Others may be configured for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, ISR, quietly gathering data from deep behind enemy lines and relaying it back to Ukrainian forces. What makes it especially dangerous is that Russia may not even realize it has been overflown until hours later, when evidence begins to emerge on the battlefield. Consider one reported strike in early 2025. Ukrainian forces launched what analysts now believe was a stealth drone against a Russian logistics hub nearly 600 kilometers from the front lines. Russian media initially claimed the strike was carried out by long-range Western-supplied missiles. But when investigators looked closer, they found debris that didn't match any known missile system. The fragments pointed instead to an unmanned aircraft, one with stealth features far beyond what Ukraine had previously deployed. If true, this means that Ukrainian drones are not only bypassing Russian defenses, but also creating plausible deniability, leaving the Kremlin unsure whether to blame drones, missiles, or sabotage teams for the destruction. But stealth is not invulnerability. No technology exists in a vacuum. Russian forces are already attempting to adapt. Analysts say Moscow has been increasing its reliance on infrared search and track systems, IRSTs, which do not rely on radar at all but instead detect the heat signatures of aircraft. By flying at high speed, the drone generates heat, and Russian engineers are betting that thermal sensors may succeed where radar fails. Another potential countermeasure is the deployment of dense, overlapping air defense bubbles around high-value targets, making it more difficult for stealth aircraft to slip through unnoticed. Still, these defenses are costly and require extensive manpower. If Ukraine can keep producing stealth drones at scale, it forces Russia into a dilemma. Either spread its defenses thin across hundreds of potential targets, or concentrate them and risk leaving other areas exposed. Both outcomes play to Ukraine's advantage. From a tactical perspective, the drones have already reshaped Ukrainian operations. In previous months, Kyiv relied heavily on HIMARS rocket systems and Storm Shadow cruise missiles for deep strikes. These weapons are effective but expensive and in limited supply. A domestically produced stealth drone, on the other hand, provides a sustainable alternative. It allows Ukraine to project power across the battlefield without relying entirely on Western stockpiles. Perhaps the most telling sign of their effectiveness is the change in Russia's rhetoric. Kremlin officials, who once mocked Ukrainian drone strikes as mosquito bites, now describe them as serious threats that demand urgent countermeasures. Russian state television has begun airing segments on the dangers of invisible drones, admitting publicly that some attacks have penetrated defenses without warning. This kind of acknowledgement, rare in tightly controlled Russian media, underscores just how disruptive the technology has become. Yet while Ukraine's stealth drone program is promising, it is still in its early stages. Each successful mission raises questions. How many drones are in operation? How quickly can Ukraine produce them? Are Western partners secretly contributing technology, or is this an entirely homegrown breakthrough? The answers remain classified. But what is clear is that Ukraine has entered a new phase of aerial warfare, one where the battlefield extends far beyond the front lines, and the skies themselves have become a chessboard of shadows and deception. In the next part of our investigation, we will examine the strategic consequences of this new weapon. How will it change Russia's war planning? Could it trigger new escalations from Moscow? And what lessons does it offer for the future of global warfare, where stealth drones may become the defining weapon of the 21st century?